Hello, Cryptopreneurs. This is Meredith Loughran with Crypto Trader News, and this is Bull Sessions. Hey guys, if you're looking at the Bitcoin market and haven't decided to buy in yet, then you might want to pay attention because I'm going to share some of the important dates and milestones of Bitcoin in its decade-long history. Now, there are several reasons why people don't want to buy in. A lot of people think that this gravy train has passed. In fact, some of my relatives, most of my relatives, still consider cryptocurrency to be that funny internet money with no value. And I also have a lot of friends who are burnt in ICO scams. So they are kind of keeping crypto at arm's length. They don't really want to deal with it. They have no confidence. And there are still others who have bought Bitcoin when it was fairly high, as recently as this past November when the price per Bitcoin was around $10,000. But here's the thing about that. We were trending up at the time, and so everybody had in the back of their head that this was going to be another shot to $20,000 like it did in 2017. Unfortunately, it didn't do that. People were thinking a very Merry Christmas, and then the market dropped to about a $6,500 low. So that kind of stunk, to put it mildly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some of these Bitcoin milestones for you, and I'm going to share some of the prices of Bitcoin at that time period so that you can kind of see why I invest in Bitcoin the way I do. What I do is, first of all, a little disclaimer, I am not a professional trader. And my idea of Bitcoin is not to day trade it at all. I accumulate it and I put it in a cold wallet. And I dip into it when I absolutely need to, but I really try not to, because when I buy the dip and I put it in cold storage and I kind of leave it and forget about it, after a period of time, it has increased in value. So now I'm small potatoes. I'll throw $20 at it, once a month, maybe $40. Like I said, I'm small potatoes when it comes to stuff like that. But what I've done was I've bought when Bitcoin was as low as 2,000, and I've bought when it was 3,800 and 6,500. So I buy these dips, but in this period of time, they've hit these plateaus that I personally see in the historical chart, where it shoots up, kind of hits a plateau, shoots up again, hits a plateau, and it never quite reaches the previous low, which is the previous plateau, not completely. So this is why I personally have confidence in the Bitcoin market. Having said that, let's go back to where Bitcoin came from, okay? Back in 2008, there was a recession. It was a big recession. The housing bubble that burst. The Dow Jones dropped. The world and financial markets were in crisis. People were losing their jobs and their homes. So needless to say, there was very little confidence in government institutions and financial institutions. I personally didn't want to look at a bank, and there were a lot of people that kind of felt trapped by the centralization of these banking institutions. So from the ashes of all that, on October 31st, 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto published their white paper, and it was the first time that the concept of blockchain and decentralization was birthed. And then on January 3rd, 2009, the first Bitcoin was mined. And so this began its journey, its decade-long journey to where we are today. Now, if you're not familiar with May 22nd, you might want to put that on your calendar, because that is known as Bitcoin Pizza Day. And the reason behind that is because a guy named Laszlo ordered 2 pizzas and paid 10,000 Bitcoin for it. So I guess for the record books, he's the first person to use it as a form of exchange for a real product. Okay, so May 22nd is something to put in your calendar. Then on August 15th, 2010, there was a major flaw discovered in the Bitcoin blockchain. As a result, 184 billion Bitcoin were purged from the block, and that was block 74638. It was the first and the last time that there was a breach in the Bitcoin network. That is notable because that was 9 years ago, and it hasn't been hacked since. Moving forward, on April of 2011, Time magazine referred to Bitcoin as the true digital cash. So this was a notable time period where Bitcoin was starting to get into the mainstream consciousness. So that was kind of exciting. And right around the same time is when Litecoin and other cryptocurrencies were being developed and launched. So you could say that Bitcoin is kind of the granddaddy of crypto. You know, they were the first one out of the gate. Another notable was February of 2014. Mountaincocks suspended all trading. At that time, Mountaincocks was handling over 70% of all Bitcoin transactions through their exchange. Later on, it was revealed that there were about 850,000 Bitcoin that was either lost or stolen. And so the site went down forever, and the value of Bitcoin dropped to about 36%. So that was a big ouch for the crypto community. And if you fast forward to June of 2017, Bitcoin actually topped the value of gold for the first time. There was an 8% rise in value, and this was about the time that countries like Japan were giving Bitcoin legitimacy because they were using it as a form of exchange in their retail markets. So this was very exciting times. Now, again, 2017 was when we kind of shot up to the moon. So these are all events that are leading up to that. Now, in August of 2017, Bitcoin forked. And this is when we saw the Bitcoin Cash hard fork. And the prices kept on going. There was a lot of excitement here and more mainstream attention. People were talking about it on social media, and they were investing in Bitcoin at this point. So now, here it is, December 17th, 2017. According to the highest price that I could find, this was through Bitfinex's market, and Bitcoin hit an all-time high of $19,891 per Bitcoin. So anybody who says Bitcoin hit 20,000, it didn't. That was about as close as we were going to get. And then it dropped a lot. In December 7th of 2018, Bitcoin actually dropped to an annual low of $3,125. So if you bought at almost 20,000 and then you were sitting on Bitcoin that was only worth 3,000, I could see how you could be upset. Since then, since December of last year, Bitcoin's been waffling between 3,500 and 6,300. In May of this year, we were testing the $9,000 resistance level. And then in June Bitcoin hit about 14,000. So everybody thought this was going to be, a reawakening. But soon after that, a lot of the exchanges were losing support, and market prices and support levels were around the $7,000 range. So I guess one of the things that I wanted to say, and I touched on it earlier, is that if you're a crypto enthusiast, definitely look at Bitcoin as a long-term hold, not as a day-to-day investment strategy, because I think you'll lose every single time. But if you accumulate and you hold on to it for the long term, I think that you're going to find value in it, and I think it'll grow in value as time goes on. There's one last notable date, and that's June 9th of 2020. Bitcoin is going to halve again. And there's some speculation on whether or not we're going to see Bitcoin shoot up in price again and value. There's some people who think that's already happened, because we've seen 2 halvings already, and so we kind of know what to expect. And it will be up to the market and the people who are jumping in to make that determination. So June 9th, 2020 is the next halving. That's about it. I hope you like the summary of the Bitcoin history, and I hope you tune in, because I do want to talk about how the market is going to react to this halving, and that's coming up in the next bull sessions.